And I understand too that a lot of venues felt like they wasted a lot of time and effort and money on trying to get bands in there. It didn't really work. And then all of a sudden they put 20 pokies in the back room and they can make a profit, you know? So
what's good, lovely people? Welcome to another episode of Den Devine Sessions. This is recorded live from Den Devine, a music venue right here in Broadbeach, Gold Coast, Australia. I'm your host, Joseph Brown, a musician, a creator, and a passionate advocate for all things music. With years of experience on the stage and behind the scenes, I'm here to bring you stories from the heart of the music industry. Whether you're an upcoming musician, a seasoned pro, or dedicated music fan, this podcast is for you. Let's get into the episode.
It's Den Devine time. Den Devine. Den Devine. Den Devine time.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, everyone here, make some noise. Come on, let's do this. All right, yeah, that's the vibe.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We are here.
Welcome back to another episode of Den Devine Sessions. We are here at a venue in the Gold Coast, Broadbeach, where we talk about music. We have a beautiful live audience here today out there. Some of you probably can, well, no one's going to be able to see them, but we do have a camera roaming around. We'll drop this on Monday and you'll be able to see all of that stuff. And we are here with none other than the mighty Bootleg Rascal. I'm going to call you that. But yeah, Bootleg Rascal. How you guys going?
pretty good, man. I've never been called mighty before, but thank you for that.
But we're doing very well.
Yeah?
We're feeling good.
We're feeling good.
Yes.
That's the way.
It's a great start of the year. It's been a big year so far.
Yeah?
It's been huge. Fraser, how are you feeling? Are you feeling mighty?
Very mighty.
Okay, good.
You're very mighty. What I want to say, first things first, thank you guys, gents, for coming up here. It's a bit of a different thing, you know, and it's courageous. It's not for the weak-hearted to come up here and talk about music in front of an audience and getting vulnerable and all that sort of stuff. So big shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Podcasts in general are weird, just like sitting around talking, but then with a crowd as well, there's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
You know?
I've known Carlos for at least 12 years, and one thing he's really good at is talking.
Yeah.
Just heaps of it.
I don't know what you're
It's
talking
not always
about.
great content, but there is a lot of talking. So we're going to be all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on that note, what I like to do is, this is obviously a big core of this is about the music industry and about realizing that music for most of us, it's not only a calling, but it's a normal thing we can't usually imagine without. I can't imagine life without music, you know?
100.
And I think over the time that I've been a musician, I've just seen the chemistry of the audience and the musician change. And I guess that's what this is all about. This is about going on your journey and on your journey, not only as musicians, but also seeing the changes in the different facets of the industry and how it's been, you know? So I like to always go back to the beginning where it all began for you guys. You know, we can go off individually. Bootleg Rascals, obviously, you guys have been around for a while and you've had
about 50 years now.
50 years? Yeah.
Feels like it.
But like individually, like where did music start off for you guys? Like where did it start off for you, bro? Like what's...
Well, my old man used to play a lot of blues music, like a lot of John Lee Hooker and stuff like that. He had all these old cassette tapes. So when I was a kid, it was like Saturday afternoon, we'd be at home just down the road in Bundle, actually. And we'd be playing these cassette tapes with lots of different blues music on. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then finally, I started playing a bit of guitar at school, but it was like nylon string and it was very classical and it was very regimented and kind of boring. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. So I played Green Sleeves. I don't know if anyone knows that song, but it's a pretty traditional little classical song. I played that about 5,000 times and I was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. So then I left it. And then at about 14, I was like, I kind of want to play electric guitar and play some cool stuff. And then so my folks got me this little red electric, I think when I was about 14 for Christmas. And I could play Come As You Are really badly on that. That was the one riff I could play. So I played that for about 6 months straight and sent everybody absolutely crazy. And then I learned how to play Smoke on the Water and did it again. And
Smoke on the Water, Come As You Are. Usually people don't
yeah.
go into a career after those two songs.
Yeah, I should have probably retired then because that was about as good as I ever got. But yeah, we got slightly. And then I learned how to do a bar chord and now I play in Bootleg Rascal. So yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Long story short.
Here we are.
Vibing out. And how about you, man?
Bro, I'm Latino, so I just grew up with music and loudness and emotion and drama.
A lot of hip shaking.
A lot of hip shaking.
Yeah.
Like I think early memories of music for me was very much just like being at my grandmother's house and having the family around and, get to a certain part of the night and tables would move and people would dance and just a lot of salsa music, a lot of
Feliz Navidad.
a lot of that.
Surely
A lot of that.
right, Yeah.
But I came into bootleg, like I was studying in Sydney, like I grew up in Sydney, and I was studying at AIM, this like music college.
But he was studying business.
Yeah.
He wasn't studying music.
I was, surprisingly.
I feel like I should tell my side of this story first, and then
Okay.
you can give it some
You go.
context. So I started bootleg with another guy that I didn't know at all, but the manager of my old band, Roger That, we used to play on the Gold Coast a bit.
Yeah.
That was my first band.
Anyone remember Roger That?
Nah. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Do lies?
Classic.
Hey.
Do you do lies? Lies bar?
No, we didn't. We did the Shark Bar about 5 times a week for 20 years.
Nice.
Yeah. And then they shut that place because we put it into the ground, I think.
Roger that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
See what you did there?
Yeah, I like that.
That was good.
Cool. So the guy who managed that band, he started managing Sticky Fingers as well. And then I wasn't playing music, and he said, I've got this guy that I met. He's got a couple of songs. Why don't you see if you can play some guitar and turn it into something? So we recorded an EP and started playing that. And then we did about 20 shows, and he decided he wanted to quit because he wanted to follow some girl to Europe. And we said, okay, that's cool. The only problem is we were booked in to play Woodford Folk Festival in about 2 months, and we didn't have a lead singer. And the whole band was basically me and the guy, the lead singer, who we'd written the songs together. So I was like, okay, that's pretty weird. And then Neil, our manager, he was teaching at a music college, AIM, and he said, oh, yeah, I was walking through the hallways the other day and I heard this guy singing. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good, dude. Maybe he could sing in a band.
In comes Carlos.
But he was also like, he's not actually studying music. I just heard him singing. I think he's studying like music accounting or some shit.
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
he didn't like before the business. I'd been at this music college for years, for way longer than the degree actually
Carlos
needed me
did
there
go to
for.
college for about 20 years, I would say.
Yeah, like seriously,
It was like Van Wilder, the
Yeah.
guy who just lives at college permanently forever.
just way less cool and way less good looking than what's his name.
You've got your moments.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so essentially I studied music at this college for a while, but I just kind of got over it because there was this whole kind of sense of, you need the piece of paper to be a musician and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, nah, not really. I'm not really about it or into that. And I eventually found myself into like music business essentially. And yeah, so Neil kind of heard, I used to take my guitar still into uni and just kind of sit around in the corridors singing. And he literally just heard me singing and was like, bro, you want to try out for this band?
He was doing a rendition of Smooth by Rob Thomas and Santana.
Know it, bro.
Yeah.
On the guitar.
On the guitar.
Well, he didn't play the
Jay.
guitar because he can't play the guitar
No.
parts, but he could do the Spanish
Exactly.
sort
Yeah.
of vocally.
Nailed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, very nailed it. I'm here now, I know.
Yeah, I know. I know. What am I to question you for?
Yeah. But yeah, so then, I did, I met you, I think, at Neil's house. That random thing. And they sent me some songs. They're like, learn these songs, record them, send them back. I was like, sure. I couldn't play guitar very well.
I remember that. You sent them back and someone was shredding on the guitar. And I was
got
like,
my
wow,
mate
this
to do
guy
it.
rips. He should just play guitar in the band.
I got my mate. I was like, wait, can you play guitar in this thing for me? And I'll just sing along. He was like, yeah. It was like sick. And then I remember leaving this meeting and Jimmy was like so stoked. And then he goes, oh, you can like play guitar pretty good. I was like, nah, bro. Like, that's my mate. Hey, you're going to have to like...
That was after we'd already signed the contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to just show me what the hell's going on here.
And it was literally like, okay, can you play a G bar chord? It was like, yeah. What
fret?
number on the fret?
Is that the happy or the sad sounding one? Like, what fret is that? And we still do that to this day, to be honest.
The sad one on the 7th fret, A string. Yeah.
Or technical talk. People here are like,
Exactly.
what? Yeah. Sad G.
And we went through a few drummers.
Yeah. Q.
This guy.
This
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
This guy. Tell us your story.
Well,
He's the best looking drummer we've had so far.
Yeah.
Definitely.
so
Yeah.
basically 4 years ago, that's when it all went downhill.
4 years.
Yeah.
Well, we
in
dragged
February.
Him, we dragged him into the band right when COVID was on, so that was a pretty interesting time in general.
Yeah. Essentially, their current manager used to do PR for another band I play in.
Yeah.
And then he hit up he literally did a Facebook post being like, hey, I need a Queensland-based drummer, and I was living in Palm Beach at the time. And I hit him up straight away, and he called me, and then I met the boys the next day, and it was love at first sight, wasn't it?
He had no idea what he was getting himself into.
Yeah, and then so it was literally 4 years ago. How cute! And so I had to send them like little videos of me like playing like Asleep in the Machine and Overflow, and they're like, "Yeah, you're pretty good, man." And then so
is tonight like the 4-year anniversary?
no, I think Valentine's Day.
Ah, of course.
Yeah. Oh no,
of
the day before Valentine's Day.
Let's just say it was Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
That's good.
let's just
That's
say
good.
today's Valentine's Day.
And what got you into the music scene? Like, what's your story? Like, take me back again to that sort of first spark.
Well, I'm Latina as well.
Really?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's the.
Man, it's 2024.
I know.
2025.
I could have been anything, right?
You can be anything you want to be.
He's albino
I'm like
Latina.
Casper
He's
the Ghost
albino.
White.
I'm not even going to question you.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
identifies as a Latino.
But both my older
Walking the
brothers.
line there, bro. Walking the line.
I identify as rich and retired.
If you dream it, it'll happen, Jimmy. Yeah.
It'll happen.
So both my older brothers used to like play music heaps, and my middle
That's
brother.
like back in Spain.
Yeah, back in Spain. Espanol. Yeah. And then so I think the first song there was a drum kit in the house because my middle brother played drums, and then like the first song I used to jam to is Anthem by the Year 2000 by Silverchair.
Yeah.
Just like do da, like that really simple.
That
like,
actually
slow beat.
explains so much.
Yeah. I've gotten maybe like 1% better since then. And then, and
It's
so
not about being better. It's just a stylistic thing. That's all right. It's cool.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about this after, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I just
Security.
kept on playing and then kind of got more into it as I got older. And then, so now I'm like a full-time drummer, which is cool.
And did you always was drumming or being a musician
I
something you always saw that you would be?
Yeah, I think like the love for music kind of came like parallel with the love for just playing the drums to really good music, and like bands that I liked, I kind of tried to emulate their styles and play it like that style of music as well. And then, but as you get older, you kind of delve more into it and understand it more, and you get to a point when you can kind of like teach yourself things as well as you can like learn to read music and stuff like that. So I found that, I just kind of just learnt more about it, and then it got more and more interesting, and you kind of pull that thread, and then it just keeps on growing
As you can
and
see,
growing.
Fraser's the most proficient out of all of us. He's talking about reading music and stuff.
He's
which,
reading. Yeah.
I'm the professional one, so I keep
Yes.
the boys on track.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, nice.
I've always thought about pursuing a career in music as like what I'd imagine being a heroin addict is like.
Okay.
Which is
Where are we
like,
going with
I've never
this?
done heroin, just so you know. Like there's other stuff I've done, but I haven't done heroin. But I feel like it's like you get these short, fleeting moments of like really good shit, and then the rest of the time you just have no money. You're wondering what the hell you're doing.
And
you
you
waste a
smell.
lot
And
of
you're
time.
just chasing that
Yeah,
feeling.
you burn a lot of bridges. You're chasing that feeling, and then every so often you're like, oh, that was really good, that bit, and then that's pretty much what I imagine it to be, like being a heroin addict.
Yeah.
is like that. Yeah,
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's like chasing. I get it. That's
chasing the dragon.
chasing the dragon. Yeah. And that's what you want to do.
It's like something that there's a lot about it that you probably shouldn't. There's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it, but there's a few reasons that you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how
I'm
we
still
ended
talking
up
about
here.
heroin here. I'm like,
Can I get a drink, please?
Yeah, I was just talking about heroin. Sorry.
you just talk about heroin. Yeah. And then I know as the journey goes, and as we sort of want to start making music more for career based and more of that, was like Bootleg Rascal when you guys. So when you did get that, when you did jump on to did you go straight to Woodford? Was that?
Yeah.
That was the first show.
So it was pretty gnarly because
You went straight to Woodford?
we were playing 4 times.
Yeah.
4 times at Woodford.
yeah, so like after that meeting, the boys looked at me. They were like, "Cool, you got 2 weeks to learn like the whole set."
And we also didn't
And-
really have a choice. So it was kind of like, all right, buddy,
Yeah.
let's just get this guy to do
And were
these
you like,
shows.
this
For
is-
and,
them, it was a huge risk because they had no idea. Like again, I could play guitar, but literally not really. I could play guitar to kind of accompany myself and stuff, but I'd honestly like
Air guitar.
I'd never,
Yeah.
I'd never like plugged in an electric guitar in public kind of thing.
I
before
actually
this.
remember that clearly.
Yeah.
We were on stage and he's holding his lead and he's looking around and he's like, what do I do with this shit?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm pretty sure
like,
it goes
oh,
in here.
man.
And he was like, "Are you good?" I was like, "I don't know, but I think
That's
I
not
think
really
we're going
hit
to be
home
fine."
what we were trying to do.
So what did it feel like at that moment for you? Was it like, man, this
Well,
is like literally
I guess-
a heroin dealer?
But I guess,
going,
like,
"Hey,
you know, I
want-"
guess everyone's kind of got that fight or flight kind of thing, right? So then I guess for me in
obviously
that,
fought.
yeah, I guess for me in that situation, it's just like, well, I don't know. It's just like full send. It's like there's nothing to lose. Like for me, really, at that point, there was nothing to lose. I hadn't sung for a long time as well. Like, so I was doing music and singing and doing all that at uni, and I'd kind of given up on that dream a little bit. Oh, what a vibe!
Oh, what can I get one of those?
What a vibe! Well, that one can be you.
Another
Can
one
I
of
get a
those.
tequila pineapple juice though? Yeah, thanks.
Bro, one's coming.
Thank you.
Do you know what I mean? So it was just kind of like I just had to send it. Really, there was no choice. For
We
me,
were pretty scared
really.
though.
Oh,
Context.
very
We were-
much so.
Especially when I realized he didn't know how to plug in his guitar. and
No.
the weight of it all.
And
kinda
you
hit
were
me.
sick. We had like 3 days. We had 4 days to rehearse, and
Yeah.
Jimmy was out for like a full day.
I had like a 24-hour virus thing. I
Yeah,
just couldn't
it
even
was
stay
gnarly.
awake.
So
It was
we
weird.
just screwed around in the
I think it was the
studio.
heroin.
I think Jimmy could hear us in the studio, and it was making everything worse. And it was pretty scary to be honest. But like for me in my head, kind of going into it, it was just kind of like there was this opportunity. I'd kind of given up on singing a little bit, gone over to the business side of things, and was like, well, you know what? This is a massive opportunity.
He ran a couple of businesses into the ground and then decided to go back to music.
And then I was
again.
like,
Yeah.
let's full send. And here I am, 12 years later.
You broke me. You got me.
Yeah.
Yep.
12 happy years later.
So 12 years ago, you both just get thrown into this crazy ass situation.
And now we've built this into a multi-dollar business.
Multi-dollar
Multi-dollar.
business. Multi-dollar business.
It's definitely more than one sometimes.
Hopefully.
And how was the gig though?
Well, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Still here.
I mean,
know?
we did enough to get it over the line. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
I think for the fact that we literally played together for 4 days in a studio and then went out and did like 4 shows at Woodford.
The weirdest one for me, I think, was when we were playing on the bus. Do you remember the bus?
So
one?
we were going through some photos the other day and we saw this photo of us at Woodford on the bus.
So
'Cause
we did a gig at night, and that's kind of cool because you're on stage and you've got the full stuff going on. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff to hide behind. And the next day, it's like 45 degrees and you're in a tent and everything's just hectic. And then we had to go sit on a bus and play to about 10 people on a 50-degree bus together, just playing kind of unplugged. And we were like, this is hectic. What are we doing this for?
It was gnarly.
Yeah.
But it was kind of good though.
We kind of did it.
We needed it, I think.
Yeah. And now we can play slightly better than
Exactly.
than then.
Exactly.
Now you've done, so 12 years ago,
I think so. That's pretty
And-
scary to think about that. But
Yeah, I try not to.
how much gigs do you reckon you guys now have
Far
got?
out.
Shit.
A lot. At one point, I started putting together the hours. I was really bored, and I started trying to figure out how long we've been waiting. So, like in a band, you do a lot of waiting. There's either like sitting in a van or sitting at an airport.
we have this
or-
saying, it's like being a muso is like 23 hours of waiting and like 1 hour of actually doing stuff.
Yeah, you
And
know,
it's kind of how it is.
So I started putting the hours together,
Yeah.
and I think I got to like a week and a half, and I was like, "This is just depressing." I was like, "I don't even want to think
Yeah.
about."
You get paid
how
about
long.
5 cents an hour for 20 years, and then
Yeah,
you
exactly.
get paid 20 cents an hour.
Bro,
after
a
that.
lot of gigs though, a lot. I think, a lot in the 1,000 mark. Pretty close, I reckon. Yeah.
Okay, let's say it's 1,000.
Let's say it's
1,000.
1,000.
It's thousands.
Today is the 1,000th gig. There you go.
Yeah, let's go. 1,000
Hell
gigs.
yeah.
Yeah,
Why
welcome to
not?
the 7th gig.
Why not?
Yeah.
And this is interesting to me. So I didn't realize. So you only done a few gigs with the other lineup before this lineup.
Yeah, so it was me and the original singer. We started the band, and then we got these guys in to play drums and bass and crap, and they were kind of like Carlos. They didn't really... He could sing. He could do that. But these guys weren't even musicians at all, really.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, yeah, like, I'll learn how to do
Give
it.
that a go.
Like, it was a real, how you going sort of a setup. Yeah.
yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And that was like that for a while, really.
Still is.
Yeah.
And talk me through that journey. So over that 12 years, like, is it just music you guys do full time, or are you guys working outside? Do you have to work?
Well, these days it's closer than ever to being we just do music. So there's been patches where I've had bootleg, and then when I was touring a lot with Sticky, obviously that would be pretty much all I would do. But, occasionally I have to, I don't know, wipe down a few toilets or something in between just to pay the bills.
I run another business called Extra Hands Handy Solutions. If anyone needs any handyman services, look me up. How you doing? Sing songs while I try and fix things.
Yep.
And how about yourself, man?
At the moment, I'm actually full-time, which is good.
Full-time?
But I've done like teaching and...
Don't rub it in.
I DJ'd a lot of weddings last year as well, which is kind of shit. So
Weddings are good.
I quit those. So if anyone's getting married, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sorry.
But I still do wedding gigs, so if anyone's getting married...
There you go.
And Carlos and I are DJs now too. So.
Oh, yeah, we DJ too.
Yeah.
We DJ birthday parties.
We worked it out.
Oh, not well. Relax.
I don't know. I've seen you DJ. I reckon we're not too bad.
Jeez.
And you were saying before, I don't know if you were you straight up saying that you owned a couple businesses together?
Oh, yeah. Me and Jim owned a pizza shop for a red hot second.
Yeah, we had a pizza shop.
Yep.
I love that. What's the pizza shop?
It's still called Frank Junior's, but we have nothing to do with it anymore. But it's still there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we did that for... Well, I worked there for a while before it was
I got you the
Junior's and all
job.
that. Anyway.
I got you the job.
Oh, you did at the
I did
start.
get you the
I
job.
forgot. Yes. He got me the job when I moved up here. But anyway, it was Francie's in Cooley back in the day, this like cool pizza joint. And then I worked there for a while, and then they were changing things up, and me and Jim got involved, and we kind of turned it into this dope like 90s New York pizza vibe thing called Frank Junior's. And it was going really, 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 really well, you know. Jimmy was working like front of house stuff, and I was like running the kitchens and doing front of house stuff as well.
Anyway,
But
who cares? We
I
fucking
think-
left it. It's still there. It's
Exactly.
good. They make pizza. We play music.
And I think it just got to a point where it was just like we like kind of gave all the music up for that.
Yeah.
And like we realized we hadn't like written a song in like a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And we were like, nah, this is shit.
Yeah.
And I was working like 60 hours a week. No one wants to do that.
Yeah, like
Nah.
for me, it always comes back down to it. Like that's the whole musical journey. It's always a decision, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do I keep going? Do I believe the
well, it's like an addiction. That's what I was trying to say
addiction
before.
or heroin? You know.
Yeah, it'll get you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's like as you go along with that decision, you know, you've got to face all these things. It is an addiction. Like, let's be honest about one thing. Like, it's
Well, if you looked at being a musician on paper, there's not many people that would decide that's a good decision to make, I don't think.
No way.
You know?
no.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think what I find the hardest thing, I think, is it's like, it's not instant gratification either.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a lot of work that you do, there's a lot of songs that you write, and it's not till you get to like, look, there's some songs that we're working on an album at the moment, and there's some songs on that album that I think we've been working on or that have been in the mixes for like 2 years maybe.
Feels like 10.
Yeah, you know, so you don't get that instant gratification maybe that you would in other businesses maybe, you know, you want to fix something, you see it, you change it, you see the changes the next day or the next week, you know, whereas with music, it's this slow slug that's just like creeping, and you're hoping that like you get it to a point that it's making you enough money to just do just that.
Well, and also there's not like a set formula that you do that like you do this, and then you get there, you know, like if you want to become a carpenter or a plumber, there's kind of a pathway to do that, you know. It's like, okay, you do this, you go do your apprenticeship, you learn how to do that, and then you should be all right. But with music, you know, you can be really good and you can work really hard and it might never actually get to where you want it to be is the reality, you know.
And is it an infrastructure thing? Like, is it because, you know, I've spoken about this a few times with a few different people, but in certain countries, being a builder is not what it is like in Australia, right? Like being a builder in Turkey is the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. But because they've got infrastructure and everything, being a builder in Australia is a success. You know, that's
definitely part of it.
Yeah. So I know like every country, we've spoken to a few people, sat exactly where you are. They've done the world tours, and I'm sure you've done world tours, and I'm sure along those journeys, you see the industry behaves different in every single country, you know?
Well, I was particularly amazed in France where if you are a full-time musician, you get a government, like it's not the dole, but you get paid a certain amount of money per year just to be a musician, you know, like it...
Just to be a muso.
Like it might be 15,000 euros or something like that a year that like as long as you do enough gigs and, you know, tick enough boxes that you get that from the government as well as what you do because they, I guess, kind of, treasure and rate the arts a lot. So they give that priority to make it be a thing, which I thought was so cool.
Oh, I think as well in Europe, I don't know, the government kind of respects the creative industry
That's what I
as
mean.
a
Yeah,
big
they
part of
treasure
the
it, yeah.
economy.
Yeah.
They
It is a big
understand that.
part. It
And
is a
that's the
big
thing.
part.
I feel like in Australia, very much so, I don't know, I feel like the government kind of forgets that sometimes entertainment industry is just as big as building. It can be just as big as mining or anything like that. But they got to put their effort on their end to make it as big as it could be. One thing that is hard in Australia is just the amount of people we have here as well. Which is a massive kind of thing. Like you go to America, bro, you can tour for months on end and be doing a show in a different city to complete different people to a complete different crowd like every night.
But then I can ruin your whole argument and say, well, go and look at New Zealand.
For sure.
This is pumping. Like the New Zealand industry, like they're doing well, man. Like even Sticky's going crazy over there.
Definitely. But then to do that though, night by night and get there, pay for the petrol, pay for the van, pay for the accommodation, and then what do you get paid for that gig? Bro, if it's a ticket deal, no one turns up, you don't get anything.
Yeah.
If it's a guarantee, there's not many places that are doing huge guarantees unless you're in a major city.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden when you weigh everything up, it's like a small band can't do those tours that, bigger bands can.
If there's any budding musicians out there, we're really not selling it to them
Oh,
right
really
now.
not.
It is pretty fun though. It's
so
a
good.
lifestyle choice. There's a lot of good stuff that happens in there. Yeah.
like heroin.
Yeah, there's things. Sometimes you get 2 or 3 drink tickets a night, and there's things that happen.
Yeah,
It's good.
sometimes they feed you. It's
Yep.
so good.
We got a free pizza once. It was
yeah,
good.
it was awesome.
So yeah, it is really worth it.
By the way, I just got to throw in there, please do not do heroin.
No, like
Yeah,
I said,
don't
I've
do
never
drugs.
done it, but I can imagine.
Any
Yeah.
jokes of heroin, this is a little disclaimer. Heroin jokes here today are
Yeah.
a metaphor.
You're gonna have that at the start of the
yeah.
the-
It was
video.
a metaphor. It was a straight up metaphor.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But someone out there's like,
You
hey,
said I could say whatever I wanted.
I
So,
know,
you
I
know,
know,
hey.
I know, I know. I know. Anyway, where's our lawyer? Do we have a lawyer around here? Better make sure.
we can edit this later, right?
can- I
Okay,
don't-
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm not going to edit it, by the way. It's going out there like this.
I'm about it.
Black and white.
I'm all about that.
Let's do it. You
raw,
know,
raw.
I like. I think you need to be straight up and real, and I think that's the first thing that people need to do is set their expectations up straight from the beginning.
Right.
Like you're not going to make it overnight. You're not going to just drop a song
And it
and be
depends what you
successful.
want. You know,
Yeah.
you want to go out there and be famous. Well, there's an avenue for that, and this is what you got to do and whatnot.
Write
If
your
you-
full chord bangers.
You know, do that. Go on TikTok, do your thing, all that kind of stuff. But then if it's not fame that you want, and you genuinely just love playing music, writing music, doing that, then there's that avenue for that. And I think there's just that understanding of where you can get to on those kind of levels, like especially in a place like Australia.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, again, it's that 1%, right? That kind of get that banger, get that hit that sets them up for life.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got everyone else that's just kind of like slogging it out. You know, and you're doing your best.
Seagulls, eh?
And bro, you can
Find over a tip.
you can be a band doing wedding cover gigs every weekend, and you're having the time of your life, and that's you happy and you're good. You
Yeah.
know, and it's like, bro, if that's your thing, sweet. Don't.
Yeah.
Some people want more than that. Some people want less, and it's just, I think it's just finding what it is you want to get out of music in your life. You know.
Well, you brought up a good point before about if you want to be a carpenter or you want to be, going down these other paths. Like I'm a firm believer that you just have to have business sense, and it's you went to business part of music. Did you finish that?
I did finish it. I did.
finish
8
I
years
have
in, he did it.
I have the piece of paper.
You got the piece of
Piece of paper does not say how long it took me.
And his mum's very proud. So that's the main thing.
bro.
Yeah.
Have you
My
paid
mum-
back the
my
student
nan,
loans
My
yet?
nan, no, let's not talk about that.
He hasn't earned
The
enough money
government
to pay that.
did take some off that. the
So
other
guys,
day.
if you want to
How
pay
good,
his
huh?
student loan off, they've just released
Yeah.
a new song. Just keep
I got a
listening
hat
to
down
it.
here taking tips for the student loan. Nah, it's all right. It's a debt that goes away when you die. It's pretty good. It's a
Yeah,
good
that's
deal.
good,
It's a
actually.
good deal.
Yeah.
We can hand down to your kids.
We'll hold on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm a firm believer that if you have a business sense, everything can be boiled down to business decisions, like there's a service there's always going to be a customer for those sort of different services that you offer. And if you do it right, you're gonna get there quicker, or you're gonna get there a bit more efficiently, you know. But I think the infrastructure is not there. Like, that's what I think, you know.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, a lot of the best musicians I know are probably the least known, I would say,
Yeah.
in terms of fame and stuff, you know. And
And they're like crazy, you know.
They're
Like
ridiculous.
Beethoven. Do you reckon Beethoven will be famous in this industry? Nah.
Nah.
Nah, he'd be like,
It'd be too
"Who's this
much.
crazy
People wouldn't
guy?"
get it.
They wouldn't get it, eh?
was he the one that was deaf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
He used to cut the feet off the piano
Yeah,
so you
he's
could hear the.
hectic.
So
Oh, surely he would be famous.
What do you reckon?
You'd hope so.
If you can make songs just by listening to vibrations through your deaf ears, I think surely you're going to make
But
it.
it's like what we were
Either
saying
be famous
before.
or be
I
in
can't do
Byron
that.
Bay.
I can't make
on
hit
the
songs where I
streets.
can hear what's going on.
There's
partly,
no
you know?
avenue. There's a million and one ways that it could happen. You know, a dude could be sitting at the back of the room and hears you, and here's some record label exec. You know, we've all heard that story.
Yeah.
You know, but like it could happen like that, and there's like a million different ways that you can get to where you want to be. But there's
Beethoven
just
to be really big on TikTok, I reckon.
100%. Got to be.
Yeah.
But there's no way to tell someone, yeah, bro, just do this, 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 and you're gonna be fine. You just got to send it. You just got to just write, play, and pray. You know that it just gets out there. You know,
Yeah.
and release music. Like that's all you can do, really.
And on your, like, you've released quite a lot of music. Is there any song that you were like, this is gonna be the one, and it just done nothing?
So many,
All of them.
so many. Every time you're like, oh, this slaps. This is sick. You're in the studio. You're like having a good time. You're like, this is gonna be the
Stone.
shit.
It's always the next song. That's the one, man. That's what's
Yeah,
gonna do
and
it.
then
You guys haven't heard it yet, but the next one is the one.
Boy,
It actually
tell
is.
you what, you don't know
Yeah, yeah.
nothing.
It's a Tame Impala cover.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you release it, your manager comes back with these little reports, and you look, and there's like no one on the list. Like, oh, okay, no one cares. It's like so good.
Yeah.
Just keep doing my thing.
And any song that you were like, this is just shit, and it wasn't, and it went really good.
If anything, I think it happened the other way around.
There was a song that I thought was shit, but everyone else wanted to put it out, and now we've since got rid of it. That happened.
There's been times where the manager said it was shit, and we were like, nah, this is good.
Vice versa. Yeah.
And then it's gone good, and we've
Yeah.
got to say to the manager, fuck yeah. See,
I
told ya.
remember when we put out our album Asleep in the Machine, which was a while ago now. It was like 2016, I think.
Yeah.
And the song, the title track off the album Asleep in the Machine, I was like, I reckon that's pretty good, dude. We should, give that into Triple J and see what they think. And he was like, it's not going to do anything, dude. And I was like, let's just take it in. Let's just see what happens. And it went straight to high rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one time that actually happened. And then since then, they've just blacklisted us, I think. Yeah.
The one thing that I've seen in your comments, I've been to your comment sections, by the way, FYI.
What's your avatar? You've been saying some red hot stuff or what?
Yeah, of course. You know.
Yeah. I thought that was you.
The one
You're the
thing
one
that
who
I've,
says come to Chile all the time?
yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm the one that's like, hey, I've got a podcast. You should come on it. Shit worked.
Shit, you got us.
It worked. It was a long-term plan. 12 years ago, I was like, nada. But well, look, one thing I've noticed about a lot of your fan base, and one phrase that comes up more than like a lot, is how you guys should. Your music is just great. It's just next level, and people are like, "What the hell's going on?" These
We
guys
have a lot
should
of
be where they are.
sympathetic, empathetic fans. Yeah.
A lot of people feel sorry for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Who's
card.
the Bootleg
that's the card
Rascal
we're playing.
fans in the house here tonight? Yeah.
Wait, that charcuterie board looks mint.
That does look
looks
good.
all time.
Yeah.
I told you we should have gone for the thing.
Still can.
See?
And as Bootleg Rascal fans, who have you guys been on the journey for long? For a while, yeah? These guys, we were listening to Soundcheck. You guys are in for a treat because these guys are about to perform for you in such an awesome setting like this. But if you've seen Bootleg Rascal, give us a shout. Yeah. These guys should be
pretty cool.
right up here, right? Give me another shout if you reckon these guys should be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
That's very nice. Very nice.
Us and a lot of other bands though as
Yeah,
well.
there's a lot of good
Do you know
bands
what I
around.
mean? Like that's
course.
I feel like that's the tough thing in the I guess, in the Aussie music scene is that like, yeah, we're a great band and we do the best that we can.
Hey, only we can say that. You can't say that.
I'm saying it. But there's a lot of other bands, man, that are out there that just really don't get the credit that they deserve.
But don't discredit yourself, man, because you guys are one of those bands as well.
Thank you. And I just think it's, like I said, it's just hard in Australia. There's not a lot of places to play. Not a lot of capital cities.
I think it's just hard for everybody doing any sort of artistic pursuit.
Especially after COVID.
But if you're painting pictures or you're making music or anything artistic, it's always a slog. I think it's just situational, right? Like,
definitely.
Australia has its group of circumstances, and everywhere you go, you're going to face a group of circumstances that are a little bit different, but you're going to be facing the same obstacles, really, aren't you? You know?
The one cool thing about having a podcast and having these conversations, you can talk pretty real. And one thing that I've noticed, right, is the perception, right? Australia, like in my experience, is a very trend following country. Yeah. So they're not trendsetters, right? Like, and I have an example. We've spoken about this more than once, right? 2 months before Tones and I went bonkers.
Funny story about that. Can I just cut in quickly?
Yeah.
So we have this theory that every band that supports Bootleg, we're like a leapfrog,
a trampoline band.
So they all go on to be big. So back in the day, Lime Cordiale supported us, mega. Ocean Alley actually did as well. And
somehow,
I reckon about maybe 3 months before Tones blew up with Dance Monkey. She supported us at the Great Northern Hotel. We paid her $150.
Yeah.
There was no one in the room, and then she was like the biggest star in the world.
I remember watching that show being like, what's going on over here?
And
like,
she was sick. Like, she was actually doing exactly what she's doing now. She was doing the same thing, playing the keyboards and doing the loop thing and doing all the same songs, and no one knew about it. And then next thing, it was massive.
That's the thing, is that that on that conversation, that's what astounds me, is it's the same freaking person. Yeah. And the perception changed. So she was there for 5 years. Like, Bootleg's there for 10, 12 years. And then if you went over to the States, boom, everyone here will be like, oh, I saw them at Den Devine, right?
100%.
And it's like, no offense to anyone out there, but it's just that it's the perception that people, I think, have to understand what's right in front of them. Like, there's that saying, taken for granted, right? Like, you don't know what you got till you've lost it, right? And I think people need to understand, in Australia, you don't need to wait for them to blow up. They're right here for 12 years. They're right here for 10 years. They're right here for 5 years in front of you. And one thing people might not have noticed here, but the music, when everyone was chilling out and drinking, right? Music's big for me, background music. Okay? We played a playlist called Den Devine Sessions, right? And it's a playlist of everyone we've had on Den Devine Sessions. Yep. The music held the vibe together. It didn't need to be poppy. It didn't need to be all these songs to make it like comfortable. And it was playing there right for you. These unknown artists were playing through the speakers, and I was watching everyone bopping along and enjoying the vibe. And I was like, look at that. Yeah. It's right in front of you. And if we can just start appreciating what's happening right here in front of us, I reckon the industry would be just a whole lot better.
Well, not to go too deep with this question, but I guess it's kind of like, what is it to be Australian? And what does that really identify into people that live in Australia? Because a lot of our culture does come from America. Like you said, does come from outside of this country and kind of waterfalls down to us eventually, But then when you ask that question of, well, what is it to be Australian? What really is Australian music? It's like, can anyone in this room or anything really like pinpoint and identify that? And I feel like sometimes... Kaysan, the white picket fence, family and a falcon, it's like, what is it? What is that Australian dream, that quintessential thing that makes us as a nation?
Quintessential, I like that word.
But the thing is, I don't know if, I feel like sometimes we're a bit confused. I don't know if we can really identify that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got something to say, I reckon. You're like,
he's jumping.
I'm good. Give me a bite of this. Come on, man.
But they've actually, surprisingly, the boys have articulated themselves quite well.
Wow. You're gonna give them a buffet rise?
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, they actually have some insightful points.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. But you're so right. I find that definitely the bands have to blow up overseas, and then Australians get a bit of like a protectionism, like an ownership of the artist. They're like, we discovered them first. Like, no, they're Australian, they're our band, but they've been in front of you, as you said, for up to 10 years or whatever, and then it just takes some overseas like fluke or luck or whatever you want to call it, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, they're like the biggest fans you've ever had, even though you've been playing in front of them for years. But then as soon as someone else can perhaps have like a piece of them, that's when they're like, no, like that's our artist. Like, so yeah,
it's crazy. Like if you imagine like Tones and I now, hey everyone, Tones and I's at the next Den Devine live, you'd get 20,000 people want to book 100%. That shit, you know,
well, people only
which is
ever
great.
see.
That's great though too. That's sick.
By the way, like, no, this is no hate towards anyone.
Of course,
Well, because I think people only see the blow up, right? And that's in everything. I think there's a quote by Messi, right, the football player. If people don't know who Messi is, that says, he goes, "It took me 18 years to become an overnight success."
Yeah.
You know, and that's like it's such a good quote because it's true. You know, people only ever see that oh man, you came out of nowhere. It's like, bro, I've been playing shows for like 10 years. Like, you know, and it's that they only notice the part that I guess.
But it's not even playing the shows. It's like when you're learning to sing in your bedroom or
literally
playing Smoke on the Water, driving everybody nuts for 20 years. Yeah.
Well, it's like a lamb roast, you know, it's like
lamb roast.
It only comes out in 1 minute when it's cooked, but it's sat in there for a few
100%.
hours, you know.
That's good. That's like heroin.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to let you do that one. Yeah. That's right. And I guess like that's the whole purpose of this, you know, this conversation and this podcast is it's to like let people know the amazing talents and beauty that we have here. Like it would be great if the industry could get to a place where we didn't have to leave the country in order for the success. And for me, success is not fame. I couldn't imagine anything worse than fame. I want to be with my kids and walk in Burleigh Beach and just be left alone. 100%. You know? And fame is not success for me. Success for me is that I can support my family on music, right? And that's all I ask for. And I am thankful that I get to do that. But at the same time, I do have to sing a lot of covers and I do have to sing the songs that everyone knows because I get it. That's the industry. I'm not going to try and, you know, change the way that it is. Yeah. But what would be great is if people could understand that we all have stories to tell and we all have music that comes from our hearts and if people could just welcome that a bit more, I think it would be great because, man, there's just so much, like you said, so much amazing, beautiful musicians around and bands, and the best musos we know are nowhere. Like they're
I think
busking.
Definitely since I've been playing, you can see a shift between, you know, the priority of like people used to go out and see bands, right? You go to a pub, you'd see a band. I remember the first gig I played, it was at the Shark Bar. It was a Tuesday night. It was our first ever show with Roger That.
Yeah.
We were playing a battle of the bands and there was like maybe 5 bands on that night and the room was packed and you used to be able to smoke in there at the time. I remember every night you'd come home and you'd wake up in the morning, especially in your hair, your clothes, everything would just reek of cigarette smoke. That was one bit I didn't really love about it. Yeah. But the fact that on a Tuesday night at a battle of the bands contest with all unknown bands, the place was full. And I still think about that. And now sometimes on a Saturday night to sell a few hundred tickets somewhere can be really hard, you know? So there's definitely been a bit of a shift away from seeing bands and maybe more seeing electronic stuff. But at the same time, you know, like there's no one to blame for that. You know what I mean? It's not really a thing that you can pinpoint and say that's the problem and that's what we need to fix because there's not actually a problem there. It's just there's been a shift in what people want to do, I suppose, you know? Yeah. So how do you change that or how do you get people, you know, going out and supporting live music more?
I guess a lot more people are like this these days.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot, like
and the thing is, it's hard because it's like you can look at it as a bad thing, you know, and it is a bad thing, or you can look at it as an opportunity and do your best to kind of change it to your way. You know, I'm sure when newspapers first started coming out, people were like, nah, this sucks. People can't talk on the trains. Everyone's just like got their heads in their newspapers. And it's like, probably would have been the same thing, you know, when books first started coming out, you know, and now it's just phones and everything's just like on this whole other Richter scale of just information going into your brain. And yeah, like, I guess when you look at it, you can look at it in a very negative way, but I think I get any new technology or a new thing was looked at in a negative way, you know, 100 years ago, and now is just the norm of what it is.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like when I analyze, I'm a bit of an overthinker, so It's my sort of curse I've got.
I feel you, bro.
Freaking overthink all the time. And what I've seen just from an observer is the competition shows, right? Everyone comes up to me now and they're like, why don't you do Australian Idol? Why don't you do... And for me, I'm like, that's where, if I could pinpoint where something went wrong in the industry, it was these competition shows, because it turned the audiences into judges instead of into enjoyers, right?
I always thought the same thing, literally about all of it, like Battle of the Bands contest as well. It's kind of, it's a weird idea, you know?
It's a weird idea because it's like music's not meant to be judged, man.
And it's also so subjective, right? You know, like something that you think is awesome, I might think is not that good. So it's like, how do you get a level playing field to judge that, you know?
Well, you know, I don't think someone like Bob Dylan would have went well in X Factor, you know?
Yeah.
So imagine if Bob Dylan had to rely on that system, we would lose Bob Dylan and he would be gone. And I'm like, man, how much other Bob Dylans have we lost?
Yeah.
100%.
Hundreds.
If anything, we should be putting the musos at the top against each other.
In a fight to the death.
Yes, to the death.
Yeah. Survival of the
Yeah.
Yeah, and make
You-
room
you-
for the rest of us.
You're Filipino, so you might win.
I'm not Filipino.
Are you?
Whoa,
Are
man.
you Filipino?
You just assumed my
Didn't you
culture.
say that at the beginning?
No,
I
I'm
didn't know you were
Latino,
Filipino.
Oh, you're
bro.
Latino.
Jesus.
Well, you still win. You'd
Nah,
still
I
win.
get that all the time. It's so rude. My
Stuff's
God.
being unearthed here that I didn't know
Man.
Just to make sure everyone's awake.
My
Yeah.
family's from Chile, man. We listen
Chile?
to salsa. I said that very
Oh,
clearly.
yeah, you did say that.
So
about. There
rude.
could be some Filipino
My
in there.
God,
could be Filipino,
Shut up,
yeah.
Jim.
But both as Filipino and as Latino, you could win either way.
Yeah, no, 100%.
There's an albino, a Chilean, and a white dog up here.
Yeah, exactly.
And a heroin addict.
Bringing
And
the
an
culture for
ex-addict,
everyone in the middle here.
But like, you know, for sure, I think that the industry, when people become judges and the audience are more judging, they're judging. Like some gigs I play and, you know, you see them, they do the whole, the voice turn. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And they're like,
Oh, they didn't turn.
oh, no, they didn't turn.
Have people always been judges though, and now they just have more avenues to talk shit? That's what I reckon.
What do you reckon, everyone?
It's a good one, huh? Yeah. That's what I reckon. People always got an opinion, but now just everyone's got a little thing to put their opinion out, and everyone cares.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's you know that's the way I kind of see it. And it's like everyone's entitled to their opinion for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm also entitled not to give a shit.
Yeah.
Some people aren't entitled to opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, not really. No, I think
Now
it's all,
over to you.
It's all it all makes perfect sense. But yeah, with the advent
In
of
conclusion.
with the competition shows and all like that, as you said, it's just becomes less about the art and more about almost like a technical thing. But it's also kind of like, do the people on that, do they really care about music, or do they just want their 15 minutes of fame or something like that? So
Yeah. I mean, look. Obviously, you've got Matt Corby, had done really well from it. Guy Sebastian's still
But
going
also,
hard.
like, Matt Corby had to, like, struggle for years to get that whole Australian Idol stigma, like, off his back.
Yeah.
Like, at uni, right, when we used to do contract law at uni, they used to show us the contracts from Australian Idol and The Voice.
Listen in, everyone.
And they used to go, this is an example of a contract you shouldn't sign.
Carlos studied this for 8 years as well, so he knows his
exactly.
shit.
But they were like, this is something that you shouldn't sign, and have your lawyer look at and change half of it. The only people that I knew that went well, like I had a lot of friends that went through Australian Idol and all this, because you kind of notice that they're all just kind of singers that know each other, that are in the scene, that going through Australian Idol, and they kind of just do this little loop now. And the only people that went good from it were the ones that were able to really drastically change those contracts to make it suit them. Because like you sign those contracts and they own you for a while.
And when
afterwards.
they say own you, they own you.
Yeah, like you can't do anything. You can't do cover gigs. You can't do nothing.
So there's
Like-
a for those that don't know, there's a term in the music industry called shelving, right?
Yep.
Shelvia. And if you're number one, right, you'll come in number one. Number two is competition, so they shelve number two. And they'll shelve you for 10 years. And 10 years can be no singing, no live audience,
Nothing.
nothing. So that's it, your career's gone.
They don't care.
They don't care.
You
And
eliminate
now we might
the
need to get that
competition.
lawyer back out again
100%.
because we're
Just don't
literally
do
shooting
it.
fires.
Just don't do it.
Shots fired.
Come at me.
But like this people need to know this. People need to understand that like this is what like the industry's been a little bit bastardized and a little bit like perverted into, and I don't know if you know this, but some of those Australian Idol, they have like an age limit, right? They're like 24, 25. And,
Yeah.
because they don't want us old bastards to be like, hey, give me my songs back. You know, they don't want us to fight them, and they know we will, because we have a
Angst
yeah. We're rooted in our personality.
I think it's a grudge.
built up.
Yeah.
We're built up, we can't be bent and everything like that. But I think that's really, like, it's a really good point to touch on is, some things just need to change along the way. And I can't tell you what that is. Like, I don't know. I've only played in a few cities. I haven't done Australia-wide, and I'm humble, that's my humble truth, You guys have done a bit more around. So tell me about your experience city by city. Like in the Gold Coast, in my experience, it is a cover industry, like city as a job, right? But, I've heard in Melbourne and that they don't like covers. So like, tell me about your guys' experience. You've guys done a lot of touring. Is it changed city by city?
I mean, there's less venues maybe to play as an original band here, but I don't also think that that's the worst thing. I think you go to Melbourne, there is a lot of music all the time, and it's almost like a oversaturation type of thing that happens too, So sometimes you can be here and be, maybe for lack of a better analogy, like a bigger fish in a smaller pond, because there's less of that going on. Whereas you go down to Melbourne and every bar you walk into and every spot, there's a guy slogging his guts out, singing, playing really well, and you're like, oh yeah, whatever, I've seen that next door. You know what I mean? So you can also get lost in having too much opportunity to a degree as well. So yeah.
Is anyone here from Melbourne?
I love Melbourne, by the way. No shade at Melbourne. I love it.
A couple people? No one? Who's from Queensland? Yeah, a couple Queenslanders. Okay, cool.
Bloody Queenslanders.
We're the best, bro. We're the best.
Yeah.
No, but in terms of, like with what Jim was saying, it's like 100% right. I think there's a bit more of like an oversaturation in some cities than others. And I think it's just as well, how many capital cities are there? How many states are there? 7, It's like, that's not a lot for a tour. 7 shows is not like a big tour, but that's doing Australia, And then if you want to do regional shows, that's like, regional shows are tough, because even for we did, the last tour we did was a regional run, and like that was really fun and that was really great. And
the Gold Coast is a regional town, by the way.
Yeah, if you didn't know.
So is Byron Bay.
But the thing is that like when you do those regional runs, like I said before, like, man, vans are expensive, hotel rooms are expensive, you need to get flights, you need to hire gear, any of that kind of stuff. If you're a small band, there's no way you're doing a regional show. There's no way you're going out to those country towns. And if you are, you're definitely losing money. Yeah. And it's like bands like us, like we probably got a bit more of an opportunity to kind of take those risks and be like, hey, let's do a big regional run. And it's really nice when you go to those little towns and I find that people are really, really appreciative that you've like come down. Oh, the boys are on it. Yes.
We're like piling up here.
People are very appreciative of you like coming into their town and like playing, which is really nice. Which kind of shows me that the want is there.
Yeah.
I think honestly it just comes down to like the amount of people we have in Australia. There's just
I think sometimes you go to a regional place and because there's maybe not as much going on, it's like there's a gig on down the road. What else is there to do? It can end up being the event of the weekend or whatever, which can actually work in your favor as well. So you can easily get lost in the noise, playing bigger places too. So it can definitely work out.
The amount of times we've like played Brisbane and we found out that like, I don't know, the Kid Leroy's playing around the corner and we're like, sick.
Next door.
No one's coming. Like, awesome.
Well, I was going to touch base on that as well, as a big conversation that's come up over these episodes we've had is big stadium shows. And again, this is not to take pot shots. This is about sustainability, right? Like,
you know what annoys me? Sorry. is big stadiums and the government saying that, oh, we're going to build this big stadium, another big stadium in Robina because it's going to like help the arts industry and do all this. It's like, nah, bro, you're just going to put more footy games there. Like, don't lie. Like, it's like you're going to put one festival there that maybe might work that will just be full of DJs and mostly like international artists. It's like, you're not doing shit for the arts. If you want to help, instead of like building a stadium, put money into small venues on the Gold Coast where you're supporting, you know, thank you.
Yeah.
You those like 50 cap rooms. That's what you need. That's what, if you want to build a music industry, you need a lot of rooms that are small. So those small bands can invite their 20 friends and it's sick.
That's what I was saying about the pathway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's not really like a set out way of like you do this, you do this, you do
well,
this.
Especially on the Goldie though, whereas like, you know, you're in Sydney or in Melbourne, you definitely got the places to play, you know? There's probably a lot of bands and there's that competition. But on the Gold Coast especially, man, there are so many sick bands. But there's just, bro, like apart from like Miami Maiketa, Moe's, here, Vinny's, Cooley Hotel. Yeah. But like a lot of those venues are more than 100, 200 cap rooms. And for a small band, that's a tough thing.
Yeah, you have to get to a level first before you can actually play there as well.
So we need those, you know, the government should be incentivizing those small 50 to 100 cap rooms.
Like Den Devine.
Like
Den Devine, bro. Yeah. You know, and that...
Which they did, by the way. That's why we're here.
And exactly.
This is the government gave
Thank you.
all of this awesome funding to put this all together. And
I half take it back.
No, but what you... No.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
100%.
Because I saw that thing go around on Instagram. They were like, oh, who's... I think GC Music Awards shared it. And they were like, who's about this? And I was like, nah, not about it at all. Yeah. Like, I don't think that's a vibe because you're just... angling it to make it seem like you're doing this dope thing for the music industry when you're just building a big stadium to put more sports in. Don't get me wrong. I love sports. That's cool, you know, but I also like music and it's better.
And it's all about, again, sustainability. Like we had, the episode hasn't been released yet, but we had Glenn Tozer in here, who's a big advocate for the music scene and in the politics games and, you know, does all of these things. But we spoke about this, man, and the conversations come up a lot. It's like those stadium shows. Look, I love Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam. I love them, you know, like I sing them and all that. No one's saying that. But if you put Red Hot Chili Peppers on and Pearl Jam and that sort of stuff, all of that finance, you know, the amount of money it takes to go to it, the accommodation, the flights and all that sort of stuff, by the time they come to their local gig, they're usually pretty tapped out financially. So they don't come in, they've run out of money.
Bro, 50-kilometer radius, everyone that's bought a ticket is like, I can't go to that show now because I spent $350 on tickets for you know, whoever.
Nickelback.
Yeah, for Nickelback.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit. And it's like, and it's great. It's like cool. It's great for those artists, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's got to be a balance, right? There's got to be a balance.
There has to be balance.
There's got to be a balance.
And for me, like I am that person that's a pro small venue, pro small bands, pro that's what I really think needs to happen. Like you said, more of that. So if you've got this huge ass freaking stadium that's got 30,000 people going to it. So there's obviously a lot of money. You know, you got all of these people making millions of dollars. They should be able to offset that and support local
in some sort of
small
way,
venues. They should be able to, man.
And if they say they can't, it's just excuses.
And then we come back to it again, man. That same point of what ends up happening is you lose what you should have protected. You lose these... it's come up more than once, right? Ed Sheeran started off in a small venue. Taylor Swift started off on a small venue. The Beatles, you know, John Lennon was busking. Elvis was busking. And like what you said, if you take away that, you take away... These people are going to get old and die. What 100%. About what's going to happen then? Then you're going to be like, well, who's our next superstars? Yeah.
Well,
where's Bootleg
everyone
Rascal?
started playing in venues, you know, that hold 20 people. Everybody started there.
100%.
And they're taking them away.
Yeah, that's right.
Those venues are dying. And if you don't know anyone that's here, but APRA released, and I keep peddling this on because I think it's important to talk about. APRA released some stats, and they were pretty shocking. And so how many venues do you think's in Australia total?
Total?
Just take a guess.
music venues, like dedicated music venues.
APRA music venues, right? So we get paid through APRA and all that sort of stuff. So APRA, not just like random venues, APRA music venues. Give me a number.
767.
Oh, shit. That's low.
I was going to say
yes.
1,000.
1,000?
500, but
500?
yeah.
So there's 4,000, right? Which is great.
Pretty good.
Last year, through COVID and through those period, there was a third of them are gone. So a third of all those venues. It's like 1,200 to 1,500, and that was 2 years ago. And these are all small venues. You can see, obviously, like the I think, what was the recent one? The Zoo? Is that the one that...
Yeah, the Zoo closed.
Yeah, Zoo went, yep.
And there's these like little pubs that a high rise goes up and people complain and go, "Hey, you need to shut that music down."
Even Burley Bazaar shut down.
Burley Bazaar,
Yeah, Burley Bazaar's done.
yeah, all of that. So all of those 1,000, that 1,200 to 1,500 venues gone. Like that's it, they're gone. And I've been doing stuff with Dan now for a couple of years, and Dan's been in tears a lot trying to keep this venue alive. And that's truth, everyone. Dan has been in tears trying to keep this venue alive. You are here. It's a privilege to be here in this moment because you're with fighters who are fighting to keep the music industry alive and to give us what we spoke about, heroin addicts, opportunity to keep performing, right?
Give the addicts what they need.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I keep trying to tell people, like, this isn't for me. This is my calling. If you said to a doctor, like, you can't be a doctor, they're going to be like, you're taking away my purpose on what I'm here for. And, we've spoken about it a few times with other people, but for me, it's my purpose to be a musician.
100%. There's plenty of other things I could do to probably make more money than what I'm making at the moment, but this is what we choose.
I think you could literally do any other job and probably make more money as being a musician. But,
But, it's what you choose and what we choose to do. You know?
Yeah.
It's addiction, bro.
It's addiction, man. You got something to say?
Yeah, just the same thing. Just like for me personally, like I'm happiest when I'm like playing music with friends or in a band or obviously
With Bootleg Rascal?
Yeah. I didn't say that. But if you're if there's people there enjoying, then that's amazing.
Friends.
But it's just I don't know. It's hard to describe, but that's just the thing that makes me personally like really happy. So that's what it boils down to.
And watching Pokemon.
Probably Dragon Ball Z over Pokemon. But,
Dragon Ball Z?
They're both good.
Oh, man, I love Dragon Ball Z.
DBZ is good, eh?
So good, eh? Yeah, man. So I love that we get to come here and we've got all these different people in the in this audience here. We got these, Bootleg Rascal fans. We've got music lovers. We've got industry people. We've got all of these different people that we can sit here and just start normalizing the conversation that music's not just a thing. It's not a hobby. I'm really get tired of that when people are like, it's a good hobby. I'm like, it's not a hobby.
Well,
man.
I think we're loud. I think that our voice definitely like gets out there. But I just think I don't know, the white suits that live in Canberra just don't take this whole thing seriously.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's how I feel.
But they do take it seriously when they need to throw a benefit concert or something like that.
Oh, when they're like, "Hey, Bootleg, can you come down to Sydney and get a photo for the Daily Telegraph, please? Because we're helping you out."
Yeah, the Minister for Night
Arts.
Entertainment or some shit. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's all well and good when it helps them get more votes.
Yeah.
But as soon as that
Or
doesn't
when
happen,
there's like a good cause that we need you guys to just put your time and effort into. That's cool.
Yeah.
We like doing that, but
as
we're
soon
always
as
the first
all that's
people
out
to
the
do
window,
that.
it's just like, oh yeah, you little arts guys, you painters and musicians, yeah, you're cute over there, but we're gonna pump more money into sport and mining. It's like, cool.
And gambling.
And gambling.
Definitely gambling.
Definitely gambling.
I was trying to think, can we not set some sort of like gambling syndicate up around music and then maybe we can use that money to do some good shit with it?
Yeah.
For sure.
You know?
Siphon it through
What about if we
somehow.
all put a bet on about whether or not we're going to mess the gig up tonight and then somehow we reinvest that into the local music industry or something?
That's
you know?
actually
So who
sick.
wants to throw in?
Yeah.
Who wants
what
to
are
throw
the
in?
odds on Jim breaking a string tonight?
Yeah, or falling off a stage or something.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Yeah.
We could fix that shit
If
too.
we could get gambling involved in music, I reckon we're on.
If we're on.
Yeah.
Look, obviously we know gambling's obvious, it's
Chances are you're going to lose, guys. Just saying.
throwing it out there.
Don't bet more than you can lose.
It's another conversation. I don't think people also realise that a lot of venues, if they do have pokers and everything, they throw the musos just off to the side at a lot of those places, and they just profit off the gambling, which is like,
It's hard though, because it like I guess as a small business, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you make money off that. You're not making as much money
But
from
maybe that's what we should
the
do.
music
If
side.
you have pokies in your venue, that means a certain amount of the profits has to be reinvested into live music or
Yeah.
something like that. You know, like
There's got to be some sort of incentive
A trade-off,
that's supporting the other side.
because there's venues that definitely say we're not having pokies here because they think it's shit and it rips a lot of people off. So they should be rewarded somehow, and then maybe the other people should have to contribute something.
And there's
right?
venues as well that just kind of don't have the choice either. You know, it's like, well, we either put pokies in here or we keep doing music and in a month we're going to have to close down and there'll be about 20 people that are going to go without a job. I'm going to have to look for something else.
Yeah.
And there's that reality as well, which sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I only ever really understood that after we kind of been working in businesses and in small businesses outside of music, and you kind of see that and you're like, sometimes it sucks. There's those sacrifices that you have to make. But in saying that, the government should, I don't know, incentivize, right?
Incentivize.
They got to help.
Today's
do
word is
something. I don't know,
incentivize.
man. Do something. Make something work. Help us out.
Well, so you've probably seen the Vemu thing. It's come up. You've seen it around the post and everything. Vemu is a startup tech company that I'm working on, and this is a big part of that. This is a big part of understanding the industry outside of my own mind and just talking with people. And, you know, maybe in a year's time, maybe in 6 months' time, we'll have so much information, we'll know what to do with it. And what I like to ask people along this journey with this podcast is, I believe, again, that there's this trinity of what makes the music industry what it is, right? You've got music lovers, you've got musicians, and you've got venues. And when you get these three right, which I think in the 90s was right on. Like, I think 80s, 90s, those promoters, those three, they were just in perfect harmony, and it spat out superstar after superstar, right? Along the way, those three are no longer in harmony. Now there's this other player, which is big business, which is big labels and all that sort of stuff, which they've always been around. But anyway, without, you know, going too far down that way, what I like to ask people is, from a musician's perspective, right? If we were to talk about those three aspects, we talk about music lovers, we would talk about venues, we would talk about musicians, like, and what we could do better and what tools that could make the industry better. Like, what do you guys think from your perspective, like, say, for music fans? And by all means, it doesn't have to be controversy or anything like that. It's just about, like, how it's helped your journey over the years, that people could just do things a bit more better to help out.
Well, like I said earlier, I think since I've been a musician, I've noticed there's been a bit of a shift, right? Which is, there's many facets that come to that. But yeah, there's not as much live music happening in a lot of venues. There's less venues. There's more stuff going on, like pokies. You know, there's all those factors that come into it. So, and I understand too that a lot of venues felt like they wasted a lot of time and effort and money on trying to get bands in there, and it didn't really work. And then all of a sudden they put 20 pokies in the back room and they can make a profit, you know? So I think it's tricky. I think there's no real black and white and this is the right answer and this is how you do it, you know? But I think the one thing that's true is there's still a lot of people making a lot of good music, and there's a lot of people who want to enjoy music. So it seems to me that the main thing that's missing is that connection, right? So we're not connecting the people with the music in the right way, which is probably related to venues, but it's also because the venues don't have enough support, I think. I think that's the simplest way to break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
I agree. I think obviously, you know, you need that live aspect, which is a huge thing. You need that venue support and all. I think though as well that more than ever now we're connected more than ever to fans and to people, just because of Instagram, TikTok, all those kind of things. You can look at it in a negative light, but it's the first time in our human history as a musician that you can send out a message and it will go to your fan's hand. You know, you have direct line of contact with not just the group of your fans, but each individual fans. And you have the statistics, you have the all the stuff you need to find the 1% of fans, those fans that listen more than anyone else, and you can send them private messages and all that. Like, more than ever, we are connected to fans. And I feel like we're going through a very strange time of, like, all this technology growing and building, and like I feel like half the people have no idea what the hell's going on, and there's still this kind of analog side of things where we still need live shows, and I feel like something's got to meet in the middle. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is to come. Maybe it's VR. Maybe everyone just sits at home with VR headsets watching shows and shit like that.
On, you lie
hey,
in
look,
your bed.
if I get paid, I'm happy with it. You know, it's like cool. You know, but I feel like essentially we're more connected than we ever have been before, and I feel like that live aspect, there's a bridge there that definitely needs to be
definitely
kind of bridged.
Yeah,
because that live aspect of music, I'm sure everyone here can agree, is fundamentally important. You know, I think especially with bootleg, for me, it's you listen to our music on the record and it's something that you think, oh, this is pretty chill, this is pretty cool, this is pretty fun. But then I also feel that when you come and watch us live, it's a very different thing, and you get to express yourself in a very different way. So I think that's very important for the musician.
Definitely.
And if you haven't seen
the
Bootleg Rascal, you guys are going to be...
If you still want to stick around after this, we will play some music, I promise.
And
It'll
if you want to
it'll be
leave,
fun. It'll be fun.
that's fine
That's totally
as
cool
well.
too,
I
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
We've got an absolute amazing show coming up. We're going to, rearrange the stage. We're going to let you guys do the toilet thing and do all the food things and all that stuff, and then we're going to...
What about you, Fraser? Though, what do you think?
About what? No. I think kind of what you were saying. Oh no, Jim was saying. Sorry, about the venues. Like I find that the biggest revenue stream as an artist for like someone of kind of this size is ticket sales and merchandise sales. So if you're coming out and alcohol prices are sky high and things like that, it's really hard to get like the regular punter to kind of to spend all their money on coming out to a show because it's so expensive, and that comes down to insurance premiums being super high, like alcohol prices, the taxes or whatever being high. So it's kind of, I guess that kind of stems back from like a government level of just the no support for, this kind of size venue, and then it kind of all just trickles down from there. And then at the end of the day, the fan, that the person that really wants to be there is like kind of footing the bill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People always ask. They're like, what's the best way I can support your band? I'm like, bro, buy tickets to the show, buy merch.
Yeah.
Literally.
The best way is to buy merch with cash. And then we'd have to tell no one about nothing.
Yeah. And then where do we put it?
In my pocket.
Not the pokies.
Yeah, and it's from a musician's point of view, I'm a firm believer that we all have to represent the industry individually, right? Like what do you think us as musicians can do more to support each other?
I think talking and getting it out there as much as you can is, and I think it's tough because I think, we very much on the bootleg side of things have taken our approach as a very like non-political, I guess, stance. Whereas for me, music has always been an escape. Music has been I'm going to step away from all the noise. And I've always wanted us to be that. Not to be like you come on our Instagram page and you get, there's nothing wrong with it, but you get this agenda or this or that, or we need to support this. I'm all about that, and I will always support it in my own life or whatever. But in terms of like the band, I think it's just important to be true to what you're trying to sell and not trying to fake it or just do it because it's the new trend or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes that's more harming than it is good.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I think the competition thing you mentioned earlier is a factor as well, because everybody's scrambling for their piece of the pie, really, So I think sometimes there's an element of like, well, if those guys fail, then that's good for us, And it's like, I think it would be better and cooler if it was like, well, you're like a reggae band and we're a reggae band and they're a reggae band. Why don't we do like a reggae tour or like whatever? Yeah. I'm not saying it has to be that style, but whatever style you are, it'd be cool if everybody would kind of like band together a bit more rather than be like, fuck those guys, we're better than them. There's a lot of that kind of comes about because of the competition thing, right? And everybody's scrambling for their little piece of whatever they can get, And I think if there was a bit less of that sometimes in terms of musician to musician, that'd be cool too. Definitely.
Yeah, like going on from that, just kind of lifting each other up, I suppose, rather than tearing each other down. But it's more like, for example, we are always gigging, and then so we're always around live music and seeing bands and stuff, which is cool. But if there's another band we really like or we want to kind of like show our support for, we might not necessarily go to that show in person just because like, oh, we just played like 20 shows over the past few months. Like we just want to like not get like pelted by loud music for a bit. So other things you can do is, you know, you could just like comment on a post or something that they make, or like pre-save a single when they ask you to, or just, you know, little things like that, just to kind of like, you know, show some kind of support, or just be like, just like, yeah, sick man, like that's like, love your song, like let's catch up sometime. So there's a few ways to do it.
100%.
And one thing that people don't realize, like, I was raised on hip hop, you know, US hip hop and all that sort of stuff. One thing that I've noticed,
We listen to that like every day.
That's
Yeah.
our shit.
Yeah.
that's my vibe, man. But if you look at the US hip hop, they collaborated like crazy.
Oh, man.
They worked together heaps.
Yeah.
And the industry wouldn't be what it was. Like NWA is, people just NWA think it's all of your favorites in one group. Like
time.
it's a super group, you know? And that happened not only then, but if you saw like Red Hot Chili Peppers when they were coming through, they were doing stuff with like Rage Against the Machine, and Rage Against the Machine was doing stuff with Wu-Tang, and like it wasn't even genre specific. Like Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine, massively different, but they supported each other.
That mix definitely needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the collaborative thing is, that's definitely part of it too. You know, be less closed off to that because you're going to give somebody an advantage, or, you know, there's a bit of that element that creeps into it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's always way cooler when people are like, well, we've got something going on, you got something going on, let's combine forces rather than try to be against each other, you know? And it's probably true for just about a lot of things in life, I guess.
I think though, like for musos, I think when I used to, after I finished AIM and I was in Bootleg for a bit, and I'd go back, they'd ask me to like do some like talks and stuff with people. I remember like every uni kid has the same question, or any like other band, they're like, how do you make it? And I think there's this idea that I think any person really, I think, needs to understand, is that there's no such thing.
No.
There's no such thing as making it. There's no, you know, I feel like in life there's so much that is kind of pushed to us that's like, you got to finish it. There's like an end goal, this thing that you get, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I've like completed it. I've finished all the levels. I've finished all the side quests. It's done. It's like, nah.
Credits,
it's like,
roll
bro,
credits.
yeah, it's like, bro, you get to a certain point and then you realize you're like, oh, there's this other bit up here. I'm going to go have a look over there.
Well,
It's so
because
cool.
the goalposts always shift,
Yeah,
don't they?
every time,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like that idea of making it doesn't really exist, you know, because when you're a kid and you have all these dreams and you're like, this is me making it, and you get there, you're like, sick, you know, then you get to shift that again, you know. I think it should just be that we have the privilege to work for our whole lives towards something that we love doing and that we're passionate about. And that's what making it should be, is that ability to work for your whole life and be happy to work for your whole life. Not striving for 65 and in retirement to do shit all at home. You know, it's like, no, to...
I don't think you and I are going to get the gold watch.
Hell no.
Nah, we're not getting
Hell no. You know, but...
Unless
bro,
Den Devine's handing him out.
we're going to be...
Gold
but we're
watches
going to be
all
happy.
around.
Hopefully we're going to be happy and be super thankful that throughout our lives we've been able to chase something that we've loved and gotten it to a point where we've always wanted to be. And like, you know, I feel very thankful that I think if I look back at like 12-year-old Carlos and I tell him all the stuff that I've done and all the places that I've been, I guarantee you 12-year-old Carlos would have not believed me and been like, fuck you, bro. Like, don't tell me lies. Like, you know, don't get my hopes up. But when I look at 12-year-old Carlos and all the things that he wanted to do, like, I've done a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, I've done most of them, and I feel very, very fortunate that I can say that, and I can only hope that like everyone in this room gets to experience that at some point in their life. You know, whether it be, I don't know, you want to be an accountant or you want to be a builder or you want to be whatever it is, you know, but you get to experience that, hey, you know what, I had all these kind of things that I wanted to do at some point, and I've been able to achieve that and do that and love what I do as well. So I think
Really
that's
well
super
said.
important.
Really well said. And as we move into the third component, which is venues, what do you think venues can do more to support the music industry? Like, I mean, like, just talk from your own experience. It doesn't even have to be opinions. Like, what helps you guys get a full house? Is it when a venue gets behind you and does more promoting? Is it when a venue, feeds you on time, or whatever it is? Like,
I mean, to be honest, we generally have a pretty good time with most venues we go to. So I think all the people there are always trying really hard. They want it to be successful, right? So I think the mindset and the feeling there is definitely there, but maybe it's just like a bit more support. If they have more funding, I feel like they can do more and they can put more into promotion and stuff like that. I mean, there is times where we go to venues and it's like, it feels like we're playing at a venue where no one wants to be here, So, and then it's like, well, why is that? And it's like, there's a lot of things that come from that as well. But I think it all comes down to they don't have enough support. They have less resources, so they can't put it into the gigs the way they want to, because a lot of the time there's a lot of good people in there trying to do good stuff, but they just can't do what they want to do. So then it comes back onto the band to do it all, and then we obviously do everything we can, but there's only so much you can do sometimes.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. Like if venues have that more support, to have more funding to be able to put into marketing and to get it out there, like there's definitely been shows that we've played and I've maybe spoken to people the day after the gig and they were like, oh man, we didn't even know you were playing. And it's just like, what?
It happens so much.
What? It's like, how? And it's just, but it just, it comes down to that marketing and having that ad spend and all that kind of stuff. With technology, there's 101 ways of why something didn't work or why it worked. A lot of it, unfortunately, comes down to how much money you put into the marketing campaign and whatnot. But, and I think as well, like, not only from venues, but, man, it comes down to the fans. Come to the shows, man. Like, I think every town should have just their local gig Friday. I don't know, local gig Wednesday. It's like, just go out there, like, go watch music, go see it. Like, man, like, if you're a small band and there's, like, 20 people there and there's a person that you don't know and you go up to that one of the kids in the band and say, that was dope, guarantee you they'll love that. That feels great. Like, especially when you're coming up and you have random people coming up to you for the first time being like, hey, that was sick. Like, I really enjoyed that. Like that for a musician, for an artist of any sort, means like that gratification. Like the whole reason, half the reason why we do what we do is to make people feel good.
Yeah.
So when people come up to us and they're like, bro, that made me feel great.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
Well, we still get it.
Yes.
Occasionally we go overseas
100%.
or we go to like a small town we've never been to, and I don't know. It's still pretty trippy, to be honest, especially when you go to the other side of the world and there's people who rock up and they're like, I know all your songs, I know all your words, I love it. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's
and
weird.
that never really ends.
What you got to say, man?
I think more like from kind of a care factor and like a hospitality point of view. Like if you've just been traveling for like 10 hours or something, you just want to kind of like walk into the venue, like maybe have a beer, God forbid.
I would like my vegetarian meal on the table at 6:30.
Just have like just a bit of downtime or something like that. So most venues are really, really good in that regard.
Yeah.
Some could definitely like pull their weight a little bit. But this place has been amazing. So
This place, Den Devine gets
Den Devine.
This place is pulling
The
their
golden
weight.
tick.
1 million.
but
Maybe we start like an artist. Start like an artist thing where we review venues for how good they are to artists.
Well, it's funny because that's what we're doing.
5 stars, Den Devine.
yeah, 5 stars.
And that's a big part. Like this. Sorry, man.
That's
I think it's hard if you ever tour Europe and then you come back to Australia, it's like the worst feeling in the world. You go to Europe and they
love you.
Oh man,
Yeah.
they like bring out crevasses of wine. They're like the bread and cheese and like full scent.
What do you mean? We get our 3 drink tickets and you get your bloody meat pie out of the thing and...
Yeah, basically, if you're a venue that looks after your band, like, thank you so much because we really appreciate it, like a lot.
Well, look, that's the thing, right? Is if you get those 3 aspects right on the money, if you get the band feels like looked after, the fans feel good, and all of that just spirals, that's where you get the magic just goes 100%. Boom, and everyone just goes, wow. Who here remembers their first ever gig they went to, like that first one? Yeah? Did that stay with you for a long time? It stayed with you forever.
What was yours?
My first gig
Yeah, first gig ever. Like band.
that I ever went to.
Yeah, that you saw. Any gig.
The first crazy gig that was like, I want to be a muso was, it's funny, but there's a band called, I think his name's Dr. Elephant. Dr. Elephant from Darwin. You remember him?
Yeah.
And he used to just rock it. And I was like, man, I want to be a muso, you know? So, but I'm like, I want to bring back that feeling in the industry. I'm like, I don't know. I know it does happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like all doom and gloom. 100% it happens. But I feel like something just needs to be put back in. It's like someone made bolognese and took the mince out. And I went, what? Where's the mince? This isn't bolognese. This is just
That's
the sauce.
Fraser's favourite type of bolognese.
Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah.
So any vegetarian.
I'm vegetarian, so it makes sense.
Vegetarian. That's why I took
Yeah.
the mince out. And you literally done that. You literally took the mince out. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. You gave it to me. But it's all good if you put something else that's good in it. But if you just have the sauce, like it's, you know, or let's say bolognese and took the sauce out, you know, and it's like, we need to put that sauce back into the industry. We need to put something's missing, you know, something's bland. That's my opinion.
I think it's just,
anyway.
I think the hardest thing is that the change has got to come from something new and not something old.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's like it's really easy for us to look back on what has happened and how good it was.
Yeah.
You know, like bro, back in the 60s and 70s, bro, music would change the world. Music's not changing shit now. You know, it's like information is too fast. Things are too fast. Like
I don't know. The latest Sabrina Carpenter single was pretty
and
good.
this is what I
like
mean.
that.
You know what I mean? Like there's too much out there. There's so much information. There's so much music. There's so much this. There's so much that.
Yeah.
That it's just like gone are the days where like a song will change the world and stuff like that. Because it will change the world, but it will change it for about 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I feel like that this change has got to come from something new. What that is... Bro, God knows what it is.
Well,
it could come from TikTok, could come from Instagram, could come from this VR stuff. Like, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But I think as artists as well, like the biggest thing, and I think that's the hardest thing, is the ability to change and be willing to change with whatever's going on.
You got to be adaptable.
Yeah, whether it's TikTok, whether it's
Yeah.
Instagram, whether it's this, it's understanding that, you know what, this is how people are consuming now, and we can either fight it and be old farts and be like, oh no, this is not how you do music, or you run with it and go, let's go, let's
and
make it work.
speaking of that, I reckon from now on we do hologram shows.
Holograms.
in people's houses.
100%.
So you just order the bootleg
That'd be
hologram
sick.
show. You can be at home, and more importantly, we can be at home, and the holograms play for you. And that's,
Who
we're
would
done.
order the bootleg hologram?
the bootleg hologram?
See, mate, this is it.
You can- you
it's
can
happening
select the
right.
outfits, you
It's
can select
happening
the
right now.
songs. Yeah.
It's happening right now. This is the future.
We just made it up.
We just
Look,
did it.
that's the vibe of this podcast. Is just talk with enough
future is
people,
now.
talk enough shit, and we'll eventually get there.
We'll
you know?
find it.
And
We'll
I want a
find
fucking
it.
hoverboard because that was meant to happen like 10 years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally,
Right.
10 years ago.
Man.
Yeah.
Let's loosen the load up. You know, we've been talking about these crazy topics. How's everyone going out there tonight? Yeah?
It's been intense, huh? It's been intense. It's been
Bit
intense
intense.
topics.
Are you
I know.
over it? Should we play some music now?
Everyone's
Some shit, or
feeling
what should we do?
informed.
Yeah?
You guys been feeling the vibe? You guys
Otis is
understand where we're
putting-
coming
Otis is
from?
here.
Otis is putting his headphones on. Everyone say hi to Otis.
That's my little boy Otis, everybody.
Hi, Otis.
Most
He's
of us
like, no one
musos
look
just
at
want to
me.
play music, and we're
That's
parents, we're partners, and all that sort of stuff, and we're just fighting for this thing called the music industry. So thank you guys for coming out and supporting, because this is what it's about as well. It's about you guys coming out.
Thank you,
You're
guys.
the backbone.
We love you. Thank you.
Yeah,
know?
thank you so much. Honestly, we had no idea who was coming tonight, and it's so sick to see a bunch of people here that are willing to listen to us talk and hopefully play some music.
They didn't know we were going to talk. They just came to see us play. So, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
I'm sure someone's here just for the pizza.
Him.
Some of the just came here for the drinks.
Oh, bro,
You know.
swear you got me.
Yeah, good.
Look, let's relax the load up, and I'm gonna throw some nice quick questions at you guys.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So, dead celebrities. If you could sit down with any dead celebrity, who would it be? What would you ask them?
You want me to go first?
Go on.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
Bro, he'd have some badass stories from like Vegas, like when it was first starting. Oh, it'd be just sick to just sit with him, have like a whiskey and a cigar,
Yeah.
and just talk about like old school Vegas. Be like how how gangster was it? Like, what was going on? You know, I'd love to
There was
hear
a
about
handshake,
that.
man. There was
Right,
definitely a
exactly,
handshake.
right?
Yeah.
It'd be like just the most like I feel like Vegas. Bro, Gold Coast needs a Vegas. That's
Yeah.
what we need to do, right?
We got it right over there, bro.
No, but like
Surf
somewhere
paradise.
like in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, you can just put on whatever gig you
Jupiter's
want.
Casino.
Start like the Rat Pack. That'd be a vibe. Just looseness.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah,
The first thing
Frankie,
that came to
Frankie.
mind to me when you said that was Jimi Hendrix when he passed away.
Yeah.
Supposedly he was working on a double album with Miles Davis.
No
and
way.
I always really wish we could have found out what that was going to sound like, because they were two really influential and innovative musos, and I think they would have done some really cool stuff. So I would have loved to see what happened there. So I would have asked them about that. I
Yeah.
think.
If they did it now, it would have eventually come out like this new Mac Miller album.
Well, maybe we can make it on Chat GPT later. Yeah.
And you?
I'd probably, this is like selfish, but I'd love to meet John Bonham, who was the drummer for Led Zeppelin.
So selfish.
That's actually so much better than I thought you were going to say.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually really into
Yeah,
that.
just because, he was just such a wicked player, and I'm sure he just has some crazy stories, and just they're a sick band, so that's pretty simple. But yeah,
I reckon he'd still be too drunk and high to talk to you.
yeah, he wouldn't be very coherent, but that's all right.
He'd definitely drink us all under the table, put it that way.
100%.
And where's your favourite place to write music? Do you have a spot?
I don't have the one particular spot, to be honest.
Just comes on the
Usually,
toilet. 3 o'clock in the morning.
usually when I'm doing something really mundane and annoying, I get song ideas, weirdly. That's when it kicks in for me.
Shower or the car? That's when it happens for me. When I'm in the shower or the car for some
Yeah.
reason. Usually.
Yeah.
More like from a practice point of view for me, but like in my room, I have like a little practice kit, and sometimes if I'm just sitting there for a bit, you kind of get in a bit of like a hypnosis, like a rhythmic hypnosis kind of thing. So that's quite cool, and that's just in my bedroom. So yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And what's your bucket list gig?
Bucket list that I wish I went to, or what? Anything
that you played. Your bucket list that you want to play.
that we want to play.
Red Rock.
Oh, that's mine as well.
Red Rock. It's just because it looks sick.
Yeah.
I wish I got to support Sublime. That would have been a cool one.
No, it's got to be a thing that you want to do, Jim. Bucket list.
It's a bucket list, so I might do it when I'm
this
bucketed.
is true. This
you
is
know?
true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Maybe when I kick the bucket, I'll get to do it.
Maybe.
Den Devine?
Den Devine in about 5
Right
minutes.
here.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
That's what you meant to say, all right?
No, what are you going to say instead of Red Rock now?
Well, it's still Red Rock, but I'll add in, why not Glastonbury? That'd be fun. Let's do that.
Glastonbury?
Boring.
That's a vibe.
Dream collab?
So rude.
Dream collab?
So rude.
I would love to do a song with Damon Albarn. I reckon that'd be pretty cool. I reckon that'd fit in pretty good with Bootleg.
Yeah,
Yeah, the whole Gorillaz-y type vibe. That'd be pretty cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
I got two.
Give me
What
two.
is it?
Snoop Dogg,
That's good.
right? And for about a year and a half now,
Don't say Bruno,
No,
please.
I've been bugging our manager to try and find out how much it would cost to get Shaggy to do a feature on one of our songs.
Yeah.
Because that would be all time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Shaggy on a
Yeah.
bootleg song?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
We're going to start a change.org thing to get the funding to get
'Cause
Shaggy on a song.
he's like old enough, and it's been like long enough now that it'd be like, what, 10 grand? Like, right? Come on.
No way, bro.
Like a verse, something like that.
He's doing songs with Sting now. He's big.
Bro, did you see this album? The
Yeah.
Sting and,
Of course,
and
man,
Shaggy
100%.
album? Bro, how funny is the front cover? The album. Has anyone seen the front cover of the Shaggy Sting album? It's
No
just
one's
two
interested in
dads
those
on
albums,
motorbikes
bro.
in
I don't want to see
Jamaica.
Saggy Sting.
Yeah. It's just two dads on motorbikes in Jamaica. Just it's the weirdest thing ever, but it's the greatest collab we never needed.
Man, Shaggy and Sting. What a great. And who would you want to?
I don't know. I'd like playing on like a Queen's album would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age. Because they've always got like the best musos in their corner just absolutely tearing the shit out of the drums. So
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, man. Look, it's been an absolute.
Come back, Otis. Where you going? He's got a lot to say.
We've said enough.
Yeah,
He's over
he's
it.
got too much to
Yeah.
say.
It's been a pleasure. You guys
Thanks,
got
man.
a tour coming up, yeah? March 9th till
We
April.
do.
Yeah, the Booty Block Party.
That's it.
Every single capital city in Australia.
Every single one.
Yeah.
That
Darwin,
is an Australian
Hobart,
tour.
everywhere. Yeah.
Not just the East Coast, the whole island.
The whole thing.
The whole
giant
whole island, bro.
Look at these. You guys, so it's like we're all so lucky that we get to sit here with you guys before you about to do a big world tour, go to Red Rocks and all this stuff, you know?
Red Wax.
Yeah. Red Rocks.
Yeah.
And look, it's been a pleasure. How's everyone going tonight? You guys, man, wow.
You holding in there?
What you don't realize is we're about to see this awesome show. We've been doing all the...
You haven't seen it yet.
I've seen it and I can vouch for it, and everyone here can vouch for it. It's going to be an awesome vibe. We're going to wrap things up, and like, guys, do you guys have any last pieces of one last thing? Any advice for anyone coming through the industry trying to keep things going? Let's finish it on that.
You got anything?
Yeah.
Final words.
Like I said before, like, you know, don't have this perception of making it. Figure out what you want, you know, and make it achievable and get there. But like most importantly, out of all of it, is enjoy it. Have fun. Like enjoy every single part. Take photos. Write stuff down. Remember, because you'll forget a lot of it.
Yeah.
And like just honestly enjoy it, because it's like being a muso. It's like hard. Like I know we've talked about a lot of negatives tonight, and it's really, really tough. But like the highs are like the highest high you'll ever feel in your life, and just cherish those moments, because honestly they'll stick with you for the rest of your life, and they'll form the person that you're becoming. So yeah, super important.
Yeah.
I think following on from what Carlos said, it's good to have goals, but if you don't reach those goals, that's okay. Just you keep going. You know what I mean? Because so many times we've had things where it's like, oh, once we put out this song, like you were saying, like this is the one. When it doesn't quite hit, that's all right. Do the next one. You know, when you do the album and it does work or it doesn't work, that's cool. But keep working on the next one, you know? So I think too many people put too much stock into like, once I get to this point and I do this one thing, then I'm there, or then this is going to happen, or then someone's going to rock up with the bags full of money and stuff. And it's, in my experience and most people's experience that I know, that's not how it works. It's like, do it because you want to do it, and keep resetting your goals and resetting the boundaries of what you want to do, and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess following on again, just I don't know, stay in your lane. Just keep working hard, keep hustling. Just don't give up. Like, and it's really fun, and it's a bit of a wild ride. So just try to enjoy it along the way, you know. And it'll, you know, it could finish quickly or it could go forever. So or not. So just enjoy it.
Shout outs. Any shout outs? Throw them to the camera. Anyone?
Shout out to Den Devine for being rad.
That was mine. That's what I was going to say. Love you, Mum, and Den Devine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mum, family that put up with all the touring, girlfriends, wives, all
Shout
the
out
things.
to anyone who puts up with
We love
Carlos.
ya.
Definitely. Love you.
Meg.
Yeah.
See ya. Woo. Yeah, that's right.
Bootleg Rascal, you guys have been absolute pleasure. We got to dive in some deep, awesome ass topics, things that needed to be spoken about. They have to be spoken about if we want to sustain this industry and keep the music industry alive. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big shout out for Bootleg Rascal. Give a shout out
Thank
for
you.
Vinny. Vinny's on the sound,
very
and we've
much.
got Dan, and we've got Jovi over here, and all the stuff.
the boys.
Make it loud, make it proud.